Now? Oh, goodness. Let's see how far back you go. I was, forget how old I was. 15 or 16. But I worked in the arcade. Then I worked first as a dishwasher. Washed dishes all day long. That was before they had electric dishwashers. And then I got to wait on customers for noon lunch. They stood around the counter and ate. And we had pretty good food. We had sloughs of pie. And I always had to tell them. We had apple, peach, raisin, lemon, cherry, coconut, green coconut, custard, plain custard, butterscotch, and berry pie. And when I'd get all done, they'd say, "What did she say?" When I was 13, no, when I was 6, I witnessed the flood of 1913. And we lived in a little cottage. It was one bedroom, a living room, a kitchen, and a dining room. And 5 of us lived in that little bitty house. But that was 1913. And the neighbor girl came over. She was a little older than I was. And she was swinging back forth on our door, which we were not allowed to do. And my mother stopped what she was doing and listened to her, and she says, "Joanna, what are you saying?" She says, "My daddy's dead. My daddy's dead." I think maybe she had a screw loose. I wasn't sure. But anyway, Mom stopped what she was doing, and she went over to the next door, and sure enough, there was this Johanna's mother sitting there holding a little 3-month-old baby, crying. The father had been killed in the flood. He was a good swimmer, but the lady that got in the boat got all excited and shook the boat, and it tipped, and they all went out. And he got these prongs that the electric workers use to climb up a telegraph pole?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's where his head hit when the waves came and threw him out of the boat, and he was probably killed instantly because that just made a big gash across his head. Anyway, they lived next door to us. They were our neighbors. But my grandmother lived in the flood zone, that area down there. She lived in a brick house, a 2-story brick house, and they had added a kitchen and a back porch to that. Well, when the flood came along, it took that wooden part away from the brick house, and they no longer had a kitchen nor a back porch. But that wasn't the worst of it. They had to get out of their houses. The flood kept getting the water higher and higher, and they couldn't stay there anymore. In fact, they had a upright piano, and my 2 uncles, the youngest boys in the family, one was Clarence and one was Leo, they didn't want that piano to get wet, so they started pushing it upstairs. They pushed it up as far as they could get it, and then they couldn't go any further. So they lost the piano in the flood anyway. Well, my grandmother was taken out of her home because it was all filled up with water. They lifted her out of the upstairs window, and they put her in a boat, and they had other people in the boat too, and they paddled them up to the Hickory Street School. That was on top of the hill. And then they let them out. Then they go back and they go get another load of people. My daddy took me up there that night. You could see red flames all over the city of Dayton. Everything was catching on fire. You'd think the water would put it out faster than it would start up again. But that wasn't the way it was. And I was home with my mother and father, and I said, "I hear Grandma calling Papa. I hear my grandma calling Papa." And I pulled on Papa's shirt, and I said, "Papa, Grandma's calling you, listen." He says, "Oh, go away. That can't be." And he went on with what he was doing, and I kept picking up, pulling all his clothes. And I said to him, "Come here." And I opened the front door, and he listened, and he heard his mama say, "Oh, Ed, I can't go any further." And she was up there holding on to a post. it did want to fall. So she had to stay at our house because her house was underwater. That was one of the things we did. Everybody came to our house, and we had such a little house. We couldn't get very many people in it. But they had something to eat there, and they all tried to go different places to get more to eat and to get their families to safety and all that. So that was part of the flood for us. Then later on, the next day or so, a man came riding a horse yelling, leave your homes, the flood waters are coming. You know what he was? He was a thief. The floodwaters weren't coming up there. He just wanted to have everybody leave their doors and windows open, and then he'd go in and help himself to whatever they had. That's what he did. That wasn't very honest, was it?
So you're saying that you guys did what he said and you exited your homes, and then he came in, helped himself, and got out.
Well, probably did. What else would he do such a thing for?
Pleasure and glory of being a complete idiot.
That was really wonderful, Grandma.
You done?
Well, when we went back to see what kind of damage had been done at Grandma's house, everybody took their shovels along. They had to shovel the mud out of Grandma's house. Shovel it. It was months before they could get back in their house.
Back in the money, man.
No, seriously, the mud.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
The damage.
Well, I remember reading in the For the Love of Dayton book that so many things caught fire, and this one man, I think it was in a downtown, well, it must have been near DP&L or something, of a gas company. But I guess he had to go down. He tried several times to go down and turn off the gas.
Yeah.
Did you know
There's always a great big horizon.
Finally got it.
Great big horizon. A lot of red smoke. A lot of people got killed.
Ouch.
I'm sure they know. Well, thanks for sharing that. I truly, truly appreciate that.
You done?
What do you say, boys?
Not that I want you to be done, but are you done?
What do you say?
Thanks. Thank you for the exclusive interview and story.
You want to know about my past? My wicked past? Well, one of the things I did when I got out of into the teens, it was summertime there, and we were out of school, and we didn't have a telephone, but we were allowed to call in to place ads in the paper for a job. So I called in that day using this text telephone next door because we didn't have one. And about noon, somebody knocked at our door, and a man we didn't know, and he said, is this the lady that had the ad in the paper for to help out with the housework? And she said, no, I'm sorry, I don't know who that would be. And I listened a little while, and I said, hey, Mom, that's me. She said, what do you mean, that's you? I said, I put the ad in the paper. I said, I'm going to work this summer. It's vacation time. So she said, well, Mr. Capper, I didn't know this, but she said, you want to talk to her and see whether she's the girl you want or what she has to do? So he said, yeah, would you like to come out and meet my wife? So Mom and I walked up to St. Joseph Avenue and met Mrs. Kaplan. She hired me right away. I took care of her little girl. Emma Louise was 5 then, and Sophie, Mrs. Kaplan herself, had a rough time. She was sick at that time, and she couldn't help herself very well. She couldn't.
No, you did this.
I found out that Mrs. Kaplan was kind of in need of help. She was kind of helpless. She couldn't raise her arms up to her face. She couldn't comb her own hair or wash her own face. I was supposed to help her do those things, maybe do up the breakfast dishes and play with the little girl, keep her happy. So I went up there, It was vacation time, so I went up there every morning, got her up, helped her get washed and dressed, helped the little girl get washed and dressed, put her breakfast on the table. And then I would either run the sweeper or make the bed or go out and play with Elma Louise. That was it. I got the job. They paid me $2 a week, but it was fun. And I met them, couldn't have met a nicer family. They became part of our family and we became part of theirs.
How long did you do it?
Oh, all through high school. All through high school. Yeah, that was it. That's what it is.
Just summertime or when you were...
When in school, yeah, it was vacation time.
What did you get to do up there, Grandma, that you've never done before?
Oh, I took a bath in the bathtub. Yeah, my brother Larry laughed at me. He said, "First time you ever had a bath in the bathtub?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "And I got dizzy." And he laughed at me because I did. I saw water splashing around. I thought,
That's great. If you didn't have a bathtub, what'd you do?
well, I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, come on, Grandma. It's a part of She washed at the sink.
The shower?
Couples. Really good friends.
What was wrong with the lady?
She had arthritis. She couldn't get on, so she couldn't comb her hair.
She was young.
Huh?
Was she pretty young when it had that, wasn't she?
Yeah, I met Sophie was, I think she was married when she was about 20, 21. And her little girl was 5 years old then. So she was pretty young. Yeah. Good life. I should go to see Stanley. That's Elma Louise grew up and married a guy named Stanley Putman. And he was the one we went out to see. Your mother and Aggie and I were out to California and stayed there for about a week with him.
Okay, so that's the little girl that you used to do things for, and then she grew up and married Stanley.
Is she still alive? No one
Oh no, she died when I was out there. She had cancer. Yeah, nice, well-built, blonde lady, girl. She told everybody I was her sister. We went to dance school together.
You did?
Oh sure, I had to go dancing because I had to take her. I wasn't going to sit along the sidelines.
Oh, that was one of your jobs too?
Yeah.
Oh.
Ask about crazy jobs, I got them.
Well, what other crazy jobs?
Well, I told you about the one down in the arcade, but I worked down there at that counter, and they had like a delicatessen, and they had a great big 50-gallon jug of pickles, steel pickles, and they sat on the counter, and but next to it was a cheese cutter, you know, it's a great big wheel on it, you know, and I guess that was that.
No.
Anyway, it was on a Saturday, and that guy that was over there, that young fella, he was cutting up a pound or two of cheese, kept on doing this wheel by hand, and all of a sudden he got to the end of the counter, and it tipped over, and pickles went everywhere. A 5-gallon jar, glass jar of pickles. And of course it made a terrible noise, a racket. Everybody came running, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" And they thought I did it because I worked in the counter next to it, where they sold sandwiches and stuff. They thought I did it.
What do you have after all, wasn't it? So what were those pies again? You want to do them again?
Apple, peach, raisin, lemon, cherry, coconut, cream, coconut, custard, plain custard, butterscotch, and berry. never leave you.
I guess not. I guess not. Neat.
And who's next to us? And the boy that was in there, I think his name was Leslie or something like that. Anyway, he was so embarrassed.
Everybody was there. Busy Saturday.
Yeah.
One of life's most embarrassing moments.
Oh,